What's up, everybody? I'm Jonathan Baptist. Today we're going to talk about a national divorce. So, with fears of a new civil war coming, and I've already talked in a video about how we're already in a civil war. We're just not in a hot civil war, we're in a cold civil war. With fears of that escalating into a hot civil war, there's been talk about a national divorce. And there's been a lot of discussion about what that would look like. But one of the reasons for it is because we could just agree to separate. One of the ideas of the Constitution originally was that we come together as states. We are united states that make up America. And so, you could, if we no longer are in agreement about the fundamental principles of the nation, it's proposed maybe we should split up and become a separate nation. So let's look at this. I saw this map going around the interwebs, which I love how Americans just assume that we can just take Canada. So you'll notice that basically all of the North becomes part of Canada. And part of Canada that is more conservative becomes part of America. And we get Alaska and they get Hawaii. So here's why I want to argue that a national divorce will not work. And there's a number of reasons. And I think I'm not going to say that I'm not arguing that it shouldn't happen or that it's wrong to national divorce. Those are good questions. I'm going to say why it won't happen. This is why I think that all this discussion about national divorce is fruitless, because it will never happen. And here's my reasoning for that. So, if we just look at this map, one thing you might notice is that America has no access to the Pacific Ocean. I mean, we have Alaska. So basically, to get to Pacific Ocean, because this is Mexico down here, to get to the Pacific Ocean, you have to go through Canada up into Alaska to the few bases we have up here in Alaska. Now, I don't think that that's something that we want to agree to, having no access to the Pacific other than all the way up here in Alaska. I mean, it is nice to have Alaska, but most of it is like unclaimed. Like there's nobody living there, and like the small parts of it that are occupied, there's just not much there, as compared to a lot of the other states that are here. And so it really would be difficult to have real access up here. So now one solution we could have is that we could take Northern California, because Northern California is a bunch of farmers who don't like all the crazy people down here that are basically controlling the entire state. And so there's been a lot of moves, or a lot of people who've proposed that they split Canada in half, or California in half, and there's been a lot of Californians who want to secede from the south of California. That'll never happen because of all the millions of people down here who are basically controlling everybody who lives up here. But if we could have like this Northern California part, make that part of Nevada, maybe I could see that as potential. But it's not going to happen either way, because that's not the only reason I think this doesn't exist. Secondly, you'll notice that the blue states aren't connected at all. So there's just disunity. There's barely any people who live up here. There are people who live up here, but not many. Most of the people live here, around here on the border, I believe, maybe up here too, but I think down here, and most of the people live here in Canada. So this is where most people live in Canada. And so there's nothing up here but ice, pretty much. And so there might be some trails and stuff, but notice that this part over here, which includes a lot of the northern states, does not include this. So I don't think that's something that they're actually going to be willing to do, because it's not practical to do that. Now, also, they have Hawaii. I don't think that it would be smart. I don't think anybody who would be discussing would ever give up the entirety of Hawaii. And the reason for that is we still have enemies overseas. Like, we may have bickering problems together, but we still have enemies overseas who would love to see a shattered America. And so Hawaii really serves as a good base between us and like China and Russia, which is why it was attacked during World War II, because it was an outpost way out in the middle of the ocean. So maybe you could say, like, let's split Hawaii. We get half of the islands, you get the other half. You know, maybe that would work. But here's the real thing. So, you know, I think a lot of, like, Americans might agree to this. Of course, Canada would probably not. Maybe some Canadians would, but other Canadians are going to be like, no, we're Canada, we're not America. But so I love how Americans just assume Canada's. They don't have a say in this because there's almost nobody in Canada compared our size. So we're always like dividing up Canada for Canada. Anyways, so that's ridiculous in itself. We can't, you know, Canada would not be an option unless we just take over Canada, which I'm not necessarily opposed to, but I think that I don't see a reason to at this point. Like, I don't really want a bunch of, you know, crazy leftists from Canada as part of our country. We've got enough of those as it is. Anyways, the real reason I think this won't work is because of the nuclear arsenal that we have. And I don't think that any intelligent person would ever allow the crazy liberals, the crazy leftists, to have control of nuclear weapons when they think that we're Nazis. So, do you really want a bunch of crazy people who think that you're Nazis just because you disagree with them on politics, who think that you're the worst people in the world? Do you really want them with a nuclear arsenal? I think the answer is no. I don't think that it would be wise for us to give our neighbor who hates our living guts and threatens us and wants to subjugate us and wants to, you know, take over everything and restrict our speech. I don't think we want to give them nuclear warheads. That's just not smart. At least right now, there are laws in the country that protects us from them, because they can't just go do stuff, although those laws are being eroded and more each day. But for the moment, you know, I don't want to give them weapons that they could just turn and use on us. Now, there's other discussions you could have in this, like, it almost defeats the principle that we fought for, to stay united as a country. That's an interesting argument, but practically speaking, I don't think a national divorce will ever happen. And I think the reason for that is that we don't want to arm our enemies. I'm all for peace, but I don't see a peaceful way to negotiate with people who literally think you're Hitler. I don't see a peaceful compromise with people like that. I could have peaceful compromise with someone who actually has, the ability to rationally think, and is thinks well of their fellow humans enough to like agree to disagree on stuff. That kind of person. I think that's most Americans, really. I think most Americans just want to stay out of politics, and they want to just live peacefully and not really deal with other people who, just let live. Let them be who they want to be. I think most Americans are like that, but most Americans aren't in charge of the government. So, I don't think that the leftists who are in control of the government are ever going to seize power or release the power that they have. And I don't think that it's good for conservatives to just give them a bunch of nuclear warheads that they can just point right back at us and be like, oh, we're going to take back this land. It's ours now. Yeah, so I don't think a national divorce will happen. I think that it's a pipe dream that's been dreamed up by people who actually care about peace and actually care about, not going into a civil war. Unfortunately, those aren't the kinds of people who are in charge. So, I kind of like I like some of the ideas that are within the national divorce idea. I think, when we joined the Constitution, we always had the right to leave, and they have the right to leave. They don't have to stay here. You can go find another place that likes you better, and some people do. But unfortunately, I don't think it's going to work out that nice. I think it's going to be a pretty nasty fight coming up. I hope I'm wrong, but I think the worst is yet to come in this. So let me know what you think. Do you disagree? Do you think my argument is faulty? Do you think there is a way that we can have a national divorce and peacefully resolve our issues? Let me know. I'm hopeful. I hope that it'll happen. I don't think it will, but I hope it will. I'd love to see de-escalation of the tensions that are going on in our country. But let me know what you think. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I try to put out videos from time to time, just talking about pretty much everything. So we'll catch you next time. Peace.